utok mo.
After barely surviving one nightmare, Ling walks straight into another, where the entire village is dead, and the first thing he eats is human flesh. He's arrested, thrown into a prison cell, and marked for execution alongside a mysterious scholar hiding a deadly secret. But escaping that cell only pulls him deeper into something far more terrifying: a haunted villa filled with coffins, a corpse demon that refuses to die no matter how many times it's destroyed, and a fake holy monk who transforms into a golden Buddha, wiping out anyone in seconds. And when that god reveals its true form, it's not a man. It's a 1,000-year-old monster, big enough to swallow everything alive. Stay till the end with this one, because what happens next isn't just survival, it's a battle against something that shouldn't even exist. Following the events of the first film, Ling parts ways with the Taoist priest Yin. Before leaving, Yin tells him that he can always be found at the temple if needed. Ling then returns to his home village. However, the place is eerily deserted. Dead bodies lie scattered around the area, but Ling does not think much of it. Hungry, he enters a nearby inn to get a meal. The innkeeper serves him a bowl of meat soup. Ling begins eating until a man walks into the inn carrying a large chunk of human flesh. The horrifying sight makes Ling realize the meat he has just eaten is human flesh, causing him to throw up. At that moment, several men sitting inside the inn approach him with weapons. These men are escaped convicts hiding in the area. Before they can act, guards suddenly arrive while searching for the fugitives. The convicts quickly escape. The guards then turn their attention to Ling. Even though it is obvious he is innocent, they arrest him anyway. Ling is thrown into a cell with Elder Chu, a respected scholar who spent half his life imprisoned. Ling ends up spending several months in the damp, suffocating cell alongside him. One night, the guards serve Ling an unusual meal that includes chicken laps. As he eats the meat, he notices unusual activity among the guards. They appear to be preparing for an execution. Confused, Ling asks Elder Chu what is happening, since executions are normally carried out during the day. Elder Chu calmly explains that the meat Ling has been served is known as the ending of your life. Every prisoner who receives that meal is executed soon afterward. The realization leaves Ling shaken and emotionally overwhelmed. But Chu reveals a secret. He's carved a tunnel beneath the cell. He hands Ling a book and a Tao of Mortals pendant, then urges him to escape. A good man like him does not deserve to die for nothing. When Ling asks why Chu never used the tunnel himself, Chu explains that prison gives him peace to write. Ling crawls through and emerges from a cave into daylight. He spots a horse nearby, assumes Chu arranged it, and rides away, not knowing it belongs to Yat, a Taoist warrior with supernatural abilities who immediately begins tracking him. Later that night, heavy rain begins to fall. Ling searches for shelter and eventually finds an abandoned villa. He steps inside and quickly notices several coffins placed around the hall. The sight unsettles him, but he stays anyway. Suddenly, Yat storms in, accusing Ling of stealing his horse. However, the two quickly sort out the misunderstanding. When Yat turns to leave, Ling suggests he stays back, but Yat ignores him and decides to take shelter on the other side of the villa. After, Ling notices an old bathtub inside the building filled with rainwater from the leaking roof to wash himself. While bathing, Ling suddenly hears faint creaking sounds echoing through the villa. Panicked, Ling puts on his clothes and rushes outside. The moment he steps out, several ghostly figures suddenly attack him. Hearing the commotion, Yat quickly appears and wards off the attackers, saving Ling. Yat possesses the ability to sense the aura of ghosts and demons, yet he detects none. He suspects that the attackers are not spirits at all. Yat pushes Ling aside and confronts them directly. After a brief clash, the attackers' disguises are uncovered, revealing them to be two sisters accompanied by a group of rebel soldiers. One of the sisters, Feng, bears a striking resemblance to Xin. The similarity shocks Ling, and for a moment he mistakenly believes Xin has returned. Meanwhile, during the scuffle, Chu's pendant slips from Ling's clothing and falls to the ground. When the rebel sisters see it, they immediately assume Ling is Chu himself. Chu is widely known as a brilliant and respected scholar. The rebels quickly show him respect. They explain that they are the daughters of an imperial official. Their father, Lord Fu, has been falsely accused of a crime and is currently being transported to his execution. They are on their way to rescue him. Ling stands there awkwardly, unsure how to respond. Yat also introduces himself and pays his respects, believing Ling truly is the famous scholar. Ling finally attempts to correct the misunderstanding. However, they remain convinced that he is the legendary Elder Chu. Ling shows Feng the poem he and Xin once wrote together on her painting. However, Feng cannot even understand the poem, leaving Ling quietly disappointed. Soon, a rebel soldier reports the route the convoy transporting Lord Fu is taking. Meanwhile, Feng and her sister are clearly charmed by Ling. As they leave, Yuqi teasingly asks Feng whether the man she is about to marry is as handsome as Ling. Feng admits she has no idea what he looks like since the marriage was arranged at birth. Later that night, Yacht discovers a corpse in the forest that appears to have been brutally mauled by a wild creature. He brings the body back to the abandoned villa. As soon as he enters, Yacht senses something unsettling and smells the presence of evil in the air. Just then, a corpse demon emerges and a fierce battle erupts. Yacht unleashes his supernatural abilities, tearing apart the villa's walls and hurling bricks at the demon. He unleashes flaming talismans to incinerate it, then splits the demon in half and burns it again. Despite being crushed, split in two, and severely burned, the demon survives and escapes into the night. Yacht pursues by burrowing through the ground. At daybreak, he emerges onto a dirt road only to nearly get trampled by a fast-moving Imperial convoy. He instantly casts a freezing spell to stop the horses. This sudden interruption sparks an altercation with the convoy's leader, Hu. Hu and Yacht clash in a brief but intense battle that ends in a deadlock. They resolve their differences and Yacht continues his chase. Unknown to Yacht, the convoy he just encountered is the very one transporting the sister's father, Lord Fu, to his execution. Meanwhile, Ling makes his way back to town and stops at a small eatery to get some food. Just as his meal is served, he notices guards searching the area for escaped convicts. He immediately bolts from the table and the guards give chase, but Ling manages to outmaneuver them and escape. He goes to a nearby river where he shaves off his beard to change his appearance. As he emerges from the water, he spots Feng and her group heading toward the abandoned villa. Knowing the place is haunted, he tries to stop them from going there, but they ignore him. With no other choice, Ling follows them back to the villa. It soon becomes clear why they ignored him. They didn't recognize him because of his shaved beards. Having missed the Imperial convoy, the sisters have returned to the haunted villa instead, planning to set up an ambush there and intercept the convoy when it passes. Meanwhile, the corpse demon has fully regenerated and returned to the villa. Ling finally arrives at the villa and warns the group of the danger. However, he eventually helps them prepare their ambush for the convoy. As they move around the villa, setting traps and waiting in anticipation, none of them realize that the corpse demon is already watching them, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Later, Yuqi overhears part of a conversation between Ling and Feng. She misunderstands what she hears and begins to believe that something romantic is developing between them. Feeling hurt, she quietly steps aside and encourages Ling to pursue Feng instead, convinced she cannot allow a man to come between her and her sister. Grudgingly, Yuqi unknowingly wanders into the corpse demon's territory. The creature suddenly attacks. Using their kung fu skills, the sisters and the rebel soldiers leap up onto the roof to escape, leaving Ling stranded on the ground below. In a desperate attempt to escape the monster, Ling accidentally triggers the traps they had prepared for the convoy. Feng and Yuqi quickly return to help him. The two sisters fight together, rescue him, and drag him outside with them. At that moment, the Imperial convoy finally arrives and Hu approaches them. Ling quickly suggests that they step aside and trick Hu into fighting the corpse demon while they rescue the sister's father. The plan partially works. Hu confronts the corpse demon, but even after Hu cleaves the creature into separate body parts, the demon continues attacking. Its severed body parts move independently, each piece still trying to kill. When the corpse demon's head suddenly lunges toward Feng, Yacht arrives just in time. Using his supernatural powers, he forces the demon's severed body parts to violently explode, finally destroying the monster for good. Meanwhile, the rebel soldiers defeat the Imperial convoy troops and capture Hu. Unfortunately, Feng has been poisoned by the corpse demon, and the infection begins transforming her into a monster. Yacht immediately suggests killing her before the transformation completes, but the others refuse to harm her. Instead, Yacht decides to attempt a spirit-banishing ritual. The spell reveals the hidden form of the demon poison inside her. To complete the ritual, Yat instructs Ling to breathe into Feng's mouth to complete the purification. While Ling and Feng both fall unconscious during the ritual, another trouble emerges. The imperial golden-robed monk arrives with his entourage. At that same moment, Hu suddenly breaks free from his restraints and takes Lord Fu hostage but soon lowers his weapon. Having witnessed the group's loyalty and sacrifice for one another, Hu chooses to help them instead. Shortly afterward, Ling and Feng regain consciousness. Hu confronts the monk and speaks in their favor. The monk appears to listen calmly and responds as though he intends to temper justice with mercy. However, this proves to be nothing more than deception. The monk proceeds toward the villa. One of his disciples warns Hu to stay back, saying that he has a negative aura. When the monk enters the villa, he begins chanting a strange incantation. Yat immediately recognizes it as an evil spell designed to hypnotize everyone inside. Thinking quickly, Yat blocks his own ears with pieces of paper and rushes to shake the others awake, snapping them out of the trance. Suddenly, the Imperial High Monk transforms into a towering Buddha statue made of golden energy. Two rebel soldiers cautiously approach the statue to see if it is real. Instantly, the fake Buddha fires lethal beams of golden energy from its body, killing both soldiers on the spot. Yat steps forward to fight back. Using his supernatural abilities, he attempts to magically detonate the false Buddha with an explosive spell. But the attack is effortlessly repelled, and the redirected energy blasts the group backward, sending them flying into the air. Refusing to give up, Yat calls upon the cosmic forces of heaven and earth, forming a surge of dark spiritual energy. Yet even this powerful technique is easily neutralized by the fake Buddha. Yat is already exhausted from using his powers constantly over the past few days. Blood begins to seep from his mouth as the strain overwhelms his body. Despite this, he continues chanting powerful incantations. Finally, he tears open a tunnel in the ground behind him and orders the others to escape. Ling and Feng manage to flee through the tunnel, but Lord Fu, Yat, and Yuqi are captured by the evil monk. Outside, Ling collapses from exhaustion and the cold. Feng takes care of him until he recovers. Once Ling regains enough strength, the two of them set out to find help from the Taoist priest, Yin. During their journey, they are chased through the forest by wolves. As they run and struggle to protect each other from the animals, their feelings deepen. In the middle of the danger, they realize how much they care for one another. The moment seals their growing love as they share a kiss. Back at the palace, Hu discovers a horrifying sight. The entire royal court sit across the hall as though asleep. However, they have become hollow corpses. As he searches the palace for the monk and his disciples, Hu finds Yat, Lord Fu, and Yuqi trapped by the monk. Hu quickly frees them. Lord Fu accuses Hu of betraying them. Hu explains that the monk is not real, but a demon that has taken the form of the Emperor's High Monk. As they attempt to escape, Hu suddenly comes under attack from an invisible force. One of his arms is violently severed. Fighting like the valiant soldier he is, Hu continues battling the demon's disciples, even though he cannot see them and has already lost an arm. Unfortunately, Hu lacks the spiritual power needed to defeat such a supernatural enemy. Eventually, the demon destroys him. Meanwhile, Yat channels his own essence to protect Lord Fu and Yuqi from being hypnotized by the demon's evil chanting. The effort drains him severely. Blood pours from his mouth. Even so, he refuses to give up. At that critical moment, Yin finally arrives with the others. Yin begins chanting powerful incantations and launches an immediate attack. In response, the demon once again transforms into the massive golden Buddha statue. Yin summons 1,000 flying swords and unleashes them against the fake Buddha. The swords crash into the statue and then form a protective ring around the group. Together, they begin reciting a sacred mantra. Suddenly, the ground beneath them trembles violently. The demon bursts out from below the earth, revealing its true form, a gigantic 1,000-year-old centipede. The enormous creature carries the group along its massive back as it surges across the land. Acting quickly, Yat and Lord Fu strike at the creature's head, causing the monster to shriek in pain and violently shake them off its body. As they fall, Yin saves the group by summoning his swords to catch them midair. Yin then conjures another array of swords and launches them toward the creature. He unleashes cosmic energy bolts at the centipede. Yacht follows with his own technique. Using his powers, he splits a massive mountain apart and slams the two halves together, crushing the centipede between them. For a moment, the group believes the creature has finally been killed, but the monster survives. Suddenly, it lunges forward and swallows both Yacht and Yin whole. Trapped inside the creature's body, Yin suggests that he and Yacht separate their souls from their physical bodies and destroy the centipede from the inside. Yacht hesitates. He fears he may not be strong enough to guide his soul back into his body afterward, but Yin insists there is no other choice. Reluctantly, Yacht agrees. Following Yin's instructions, both of them release their souls from their bodies. In spiritual form, they combine their powers and unleash a devastating attack from within, destroying the monster. However, when the battle ends, Yacht's soul cannot return to his body, just as he feared. Despite the desperate attempts of the others to hold on to him, his spirit drifts away into the distance. The group is left heartbroken by the loss, but they have to move forward. The next day, Feng's wedding procession begins. Ling rushes from his inn and pushes through the crowd. Spotting Yuqi, he calls out and asks her to wish Feng a long and happy marriage. Words that leave him heartbroken. Later, out in the desert, as Ling and Yin set out to continue their journey, they suddenly notice two riders approaching on horseback. As they draw closer, they realize the riders are Feng and Yuqi. Feng has abandoned her arranged marriage and decided to elope with Ling. Together, they ride off, beginning a new journey she has chosen for herself. Before this story fades into silence, ask yourself, how far would you go to survive something like this? If you enjoyed this, hit like and subscribe for more dark cinematic recaps, and turn on notifications because the next story might be even worse. And tell me in the comments, would you have survived or would this have been your end? I'll see you in the next one.